Modern MotoGP bikes are 4-stroke 1000cc 4-cylinder engines, each producing around 300 horsepower. The current configurations of the engines are inline 4 or V4, with only one manufacturer producing an inline 4 for 2023, that being Yamaha. The rest are all V4 engines with varying V angles. Obviously, this being the premier class of motorcycle racing, these motorbikes are at the absolute limit of what the rules will allow, but also modern technology will allow, weighing around 157 kg and making 300 horsepower. So they are incredibly fast in the straight line as well as through the corners. The top speed record in MotoGP is 363.3 kilometers an hour, achieved in Mugello by Jorge Martin. Each rider has two of these incredibly fast bikes in their garage every weekend. One is referred to as the number one bike and the second as the number two bike, and normally this is done so the rider can choose which bike has the setup that they like for the weekend, and sometimes there's very little difference between them, but it means that they can fine tune it and jump from one to the other to work out what they are fastest on. In a mixed weather weekend, they might have one setup for the wet and one for the dry. It all depends, but it allows for the riders to try different setups back to back very quickly. In the end, the number one bike is normally the one that is used for the race. Each rider also has an engine allocation of 8 engines for a season, which the team will swap in and out depending on what they need. And they can only use those 8 engines across the season. They'll incur penalties if they use more than that. The manufacturers also have that engine spec. They have to have homologated that by the start of the season. So they get to homologate that engine, and that's the only type of engine they can use till the end of the season. There can be no changes made to the engine design during the season. The other critical area for development in modern MotoGP is aerodynamics, which of course allows the bikes to go as fast as they do through the corners using the wings and ground effect that we've come to know in the sport. The rules around the homologation of the aero fairings are very specific in MotoGP. Each rider is allowed 2 homologated aerodynamic fairings per season. The first one is homologated at the start of the year, and then the second is homologated normally at some point around the middle. Normally this is so that you get the initial concept, aerodynamic concept that the team is following at the start of the year, and then an upgraded version at some point near the middle for the rider to use for the second half of the season. There's plenty of other clever tech in MotoGP, and I'm not going to go into it here. If you want to get a better understanding of all the cool technology that exists around these bikes, I would recommend going to the MotoGP channel and having a look at Tech Talk with Simon Crafar. It's a great series that really gives you an in-depth understanding of all of the technology that we see on MotoGP bikes, from ride height devices and traction control and wheelie control and all the rest. It's an excellent series that they're constantly doing more on throughout the season. Right, I hope that gives you a basic understanding of some of the specs around MotoGP bikes, as well as, more importantly, the homologation rules and the upgrade rules around the bikes throughout the season. In the next video, we're going to look at tyres and the weekend tyre allocation. So I'll see you over there.